We have arrived at lesson 4 of module 1, which is all about streamlining your drawing process as a solo designer or even as a studio team. In our last lesson, we created a furniture and finished floor plan and reviewed some methods that help you create your drawing sets faster to save you valuable time. Today, we are taking things a step further, and we're going to learn how to create lighting and power plans right within Rayon, which, as we know by now, is faster, clearer, and more streamlined than traditional CAD programs. We're going to cover everything from the essentials, so think layers, blocks, aligning fixtures, all the way to more advanced techniques, like creating a legend, planning switch circuits, adding notes and dimensions, and even setting up a spec sheet. By the end of this, you'll have a professional quality electrical drawing that's build ready and client friendly. Don't forget, you can download the free drawing set template linked below for you to follow along. Plus, it's fully editable so you can adapt it to your own projects and build a scalable workflow for your studio. And if you want more personalized guidance, you can actually book a one-on-one demo session using the link below. Finally, if you are enjoying this series, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment with any questions or takeaways. I would love to hear how you are applying these lessons to your own workflow. Let's dive in. Let's just zoom in here to our architectural, lighting, and electrical plan, which we're going to focus on today. If you are not totally familiar, an architectural, lighting, and electrical plan is a detailed drawing that shows the placement of lighting fixtures, power outlets, switches, wiring paths, all within a space. Its purpose is to guide the installation team, whether it's electricians or contractors, so they can implement the design intent accurately. Now, depending on your project scope and complexity, lighting and electrical plans might be combined into a single drawing, or they might be separated. In this tutorial, we are just going to create one comprehensive plan covering both aspects. Let's walk through how to produce a clean, professional lighting and power floor plan, and along the way, I will share some best practices to ensure all stakeholders, designers, builders, electricians, everyone is aligned on fixture types and locations. We will go ahead and just start in a blank model canvas with our floor plan, and we are going to create a lighting layer. So over here, I have just gone from our presentation space into our floor plan. So we've got our model space here. Like I said, I've turned off my annotations, the garden, the topo, anything that's kind of like going to be a distraction. We do probably want to leave the furniture on because it will help determine where some of these lights will be placed. So like I said, let's go ahead and start by adding a new layer for lighting. So I'm just going to hit the plus button over here in layers and click layer, and I will just call this lighting. Now, you can also have nested layers within this layer just by creating a layer and dragging it under the lighting layer. So if you wanted to have it broken up into specific types of lighting, or for instance, we are going to add in a nested layer right now, just as kind of like a transparent overlay, just to kind of like ghost this floor plan out a little bit. So let me just show you how to do that. We will just go ahead and hit the plus button and go to layer, and then I'm gonna just call it, let's call it ghost background. And then I'm just gonna drag that right into my lighting layer over here. And now you can see that it's kind of like a sub layer within that layer. Now on that ghost background layer, I'm just going to create a zone. So I'll just click zone down here and I'll show you what we're gonna do. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna just create a shape here. And right now it's making it a wood shape, but we'll change that here in a second. So we just want to basically make this a white box. So instead of the texture here, we're just gonna go to a solid fill and just make it white. And now you can see that we can't really see anything beyond. However, we can easily make that a little bit more transparent. So just adjust this right here, and you can see that that's just starting to kind of gray out the background. Now, because this ghost layer is on our lighting layer, when we turn off the lighting layer, it is going to take that ghost box off. So make sure that that ghost background is underneath the lighting layer. We do not want a stroke on this, so I'm just going to remove the stroke here. And now this is basically just like a box sitting on top of everything. And we can even make it a little bit more ghosty if we want. So if I turn that ghost layer off, you can see that it gets crisp. And then if I turn it back on, you can see that we do have that transparency. Now, before we go any further, we should also go ahead and lock this layer. So locking the layer allows me to still be able to affect other properties in this model space, but it does lock that ghosted box, if you will. So let's go ahead and lock that, and that will just ensure that we don't accidentally edit or move it. Next, we want to start thinking about our symbols, our lighting symbols. So Rayon makes this super easy because they do have a block library filled with over 10,000 blocks. So if we go over here to our block library and we just scroll down, we can go look for lighting fixtures and lighting symbols. I'm going to go to our lighting symbols because what we want to do first is grab a lighting legend. They actually already have some pre-made for us for the UK, the EU, and the US. So I'm just going to type in legend in our little search bar here and we'll see them pop up. Now, I am working from the US, so we are just going to drag and drop the US legend in here. It's going to come in real tiny, but we can easily just scale that up. And we're just going to dock it over here. Just kind of get it to a good scale that we want. And what makes this so easy is that now not only is my legend made, but I can also grab these symbols from here and just copy and paste them throughout the drawing to start populating my lighting. In order to kind of make these lighting symbols stand out on our lighting plan, just to kind of help us visually see a difference between these and, you know, our furniture, I do want to make these red or some sort of like color that will stand out. You can always go back and change that easily just by editing the style. But just for the visual purposes here, I'm going to go into this block that we've imported and just select. And we'll just go ahead and edit this to be this like reddish color that we have, or the orangish color. And then you can kind of go through these symbols and just basically double click them, select them, and then you can just eyedrop the style that you like. So if I wanted that to be that orangey color, I can just eyedrop the style that I like. So you can just rinse and repeat that. I'm going to do that real quick here and then I'll meet you right back. So I'm just wrapping up here, and again, it seems a little bit daunting at first with some of this stuff, but once you set it up one time, then it's like good to go forever. And again, like you can just see, I'm just picking my styles. Just once I find a good one, then I just eyedrop it and apply it to the rest of them. And I'm going to select all of my text as well and make it the same orangey color just to be consistent. So in order to start placing our fixtures, we're going to go over here to this block and copy out whichever symbol we want. So for instance, I'm going to start with some can lights. So I'm just going to copy this and get out of my block, and then I will paste it, and you can see that it's plopped it out here. We are going to move it over here to our plan and just place it wherever the first block would be. Now I can tell that this is dumping this on a different layer that I don't want, so let's make sure we move that up to our lighting layer. I can see my first light has been placed, and now that it's over here, I can just kind of copy and paste it anywhere else. So maybe we bring this, you know, over here to the hallway. We've got a couple here in the hallway, and I'll show you here in a second too how we can add some grid lines to kind of make sure that these are aligned to certain elements. So just start kind of populating. Once we get a few of these in here, we'll add some little grid lines to kind of help guide us. You can see too that these do kind of like snap to each other, which is really nice. So I also actually am going to go ahead and lock everything else too, because I do not want to be able to move anything here. I just want to be able to move my lights. So I'm just going to keep copying these. And once you get a few of these placed where you like them, then let's put in some grid lines to kind of help guide these decisions. So for instance, if we want to make sure that this one is centered in the room, we can just go down here and grab ourselves a line and just kind of draw the line in the space, and we'll want to make sure that it's maybe like a dashed line. So if we already have that style in here, it looks like we've got some dashed lines, maybe we'll grab that one. So again, just kind of throwing that in there, using my eyedropper to grab the other style, and then I need to move this light to be centered there. And now you can see that that is showing that it is centered. You can also add any text that you need to further explain that. And again, just make sure that you're drawing all of this in your lighting layer to make sure later when we put these on our presentation sheet that we can you know, turn all of this lighting information on or off if needed. So over into this hallway, maybe we'd want to draw a grid line in the center of this space. And again, we'll make it that nice like transparent dash. And then same goes down here. We'll do a nice little center line. This can kind of like help guide your placement of different fixtures, because right now we're just kind of throwing them in here. This can help us get a little bit more specific, and it's not just good for you as the designer, it's good for the contractor as well. So now we can go down and grab our dimension tool and start adding in our dimensions. Now we can make sure that this chained is checked down here, it's on, and that way we can start doing dimensions like this kind of in a row. And so now all of these dimensions might not equal each other, but if you want them to be equidistant, you can always override the text here. So you can just make this say equal and so on and so forth. Just make sure that you have some sort of dimension that the contractor can start from, so they're not just making these equal in the middle of nowhere. You know, maybe you would want to have this dimension set, so maybe we definitely want that one to be 6.5 feet, but then the rest of these are going to be equal, set off from each other. And then of course you can always change the style as well. So if you want to hold down your shift key or just do one and then do your eyedropper tool, that's fine too. And then you can select your style or change your style here. Maybe we want it to be that same kind of like orangey red color. Maybe our stroke is going to be the orangey red color. And that's kind of how that starts shaping up. So these grid lines help us kind of align our lights with our architectural elements, and then coordinate that with our reflected ceiling plan. Now, when you're placing these, you also want to consider, you know, color temperature, whether they're warm, neutral, cool, and you want to avoid any like major shadow areas or any like awkward fixture placements. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and add in a few other types of lighting. So I want to go back to this little bathroom space over here, and let's just add in some suspended fixtures over these sinks right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into our block over here, again double click, and copy myself a suspended light. So we'll escape out of there, and I'm just going to paste it on my page, move it on over, and we'll just add in 2 of these right above the sink. So just wherever we want to place that. Again, I can see it's coming in on the wrong layer, so let's just move that up here. And once we have that on the right layer, now you can see that it is a little bit more crisp. So we can just kind of, you know, place that right over here, maybe even a little bit further back. And then just go ahead and copy and paste and put one right up there. And now we've got 2 suspended lights in there. Moving on to the bedroom, maybe we want some wall-mounted fixtures on either side of the bed. So let's go over here and see if we can find a good wall-mounted fixture. Let's use this guy right here. I'm just gonna click in there, copy that, and paste it out. Again, I want to make sure it's on my lighting layer, so dragging that up. And we will just move this over here. And I'm just going to rotate it. And we've got, it looks like we've got like a little lamp there, but we'll just place this here anyway. And I'm just going to copy and paste again on the other side of the bed. And there we've got 2 of our light fixtures in there. So again, this is just like a rinse and a repeat process for your entire plan. Next, we want to consider the switches and circuits and the whole like functional planning of this electrical plan. So switches and sockets are usually placed logically based on like how a user uses the space, how the room functions, entry, exit points, and we are able to use some shortcuts to efficiently just rotate and duplicate those symbols here in Rayon, kind of like we've done with our lighting symbols already. So if I zoom in over here and go down and look at our switch symbols, they might look a little bit different depending on where you are, but I'm just, to keep things simple, I'm just going to grab this little switch symbol. So let's paste that and we'll bring it over to our plan. Now I am going to place our first one. Let's start in the bedroom here, and we'll just kind of keep it in this small space. And I am going to, again, make sure that this is on the right layer. We will drag that up, and I'm going to rotate this, and I'm just going to place it right when you walk in the door, basically. So that's pretty typical, is right when you walk in the door. The switch for the lights would be right there. There might be some other logical places to put them, but that's what we're going to go with. So I'm going to just then copy and paste this and move this one over to my bathroom, and we'll just use our rotate tool, place it on whichever wall seems like most logical, and those are just going to be the switches that control the space. And again, just rinse and repeat that with any other space that you have. So, you know, for this hallway, I would maybe have a switch on, you know, this wall, and then I would also probably have a switch on the opposite wall. So, you know, copy and paste that over here. So just kind of continue doing that in your space with what makes sense. There are also other symbols over in our block that would indicate maybe it is a 2-way, 3-way, 4-way, different types of switches. So just make sure to keep that in mind when you're placing them. And then once you get all of your switches placed, that's when we can draw our fun little squiggly lines to indicate which switch controls which light fixture. So again, let's make sure that we are on our lighting layer, and we can go down here and just grab a curved line and just kind of like start with our switch, and then you're just going to curve it to the different fixtures that it is going to affect. And then of course you can always change your style. You can also always double click in here and kind of like move your different vertices, make them more curvy, less curvy, however you like. Let's see here, maybe we want the style of this to be orangey line. So, or maybe we want like a dashed orangey line. So let's go see if we have a dashed orangey line in here. Okay, all the way here at the end is our dashed orange line. And again, if you need to create one, all you would do is just detach this style, and we'll just create a new one. I am going to make this a dashed line, so we'll go to add dash, and maybe we want the dash to be bigger, and that looks good. And if you like it, then you save it. So I'm just going to say dashed orange, and that has been saved. So now we're going to continue to do that for these other fixtures. So I'm going to grab that curved line again, and we'll start with this fixture and just kind of rope it between these like that. When you're done with one, you just kind of hit escape. I'm going to do the pick style, and I'll grab that orange dash line. And then we're also going to have this switch control this light fixture in here. So again, we'll just grab that curve, start here, and just kind of like make our little curve and hit escape. I drop the line, and there you have it. So again, you would just continue doing this throughout your entire project. So if you'd like to add some more guidelines or information on your sheet, you can always add a little box with some notes. This is just helpful to the contractor to understand anything specific that maybe isn't super clear on the plan. So in order to do that, you would do that similar to how you would draw a legend, and that would be just by selecting your shape and going up here and doing the same kind of thing as we did with our legend, just adding in a little area for your general note. And then you would just go ahead and add your text box that would say general notes. And of course we already have our style that we have started, so we'll just eyedrop that, which takes away that work. And then you would just add in more text notes here. So, you would just say like 1, note 1, 2, note 2, that type of thing. And again, we'll just eyedrop, another style that we already have. This can just help provide some more context without making the drawing even more cluttered. As far as any other information that you can add, again, we did talk about dimensions. You can also add these dimensions on their own nested layer. So that could be a layer that you could turn on and off within the lighting layer. If there are any like height dimensions that you need to note, you could just do that with either an annotation right here on the plan or in your general notes. So So down here, Rayon makes it really easy. They've got little like leader lines that you can add. So for instance, if we have, let's see here, these wall mounted fixtures, I can just add this little leader line that says like mount fixtures at 7 foot above finished floor, and just hit check there. And then if you have a style or something selected that looks better than this, then you could just add that in there. You can easily adjust the placement or the size of it. Things do kind of start getting a little bit messier when you start adding in annotations, so just kind of be mindful of that as you're doing that. If we want to keep that same kind of color, we can select that there. Maybe our stroke we want to be the same color as well. And if you like that style, then you would just save that style and you would say like, orange annotation or something like that, annotation, and then that's saved within your styles. This kind of helps keep everything super cohesive. Now, to help clients visualize the products that we've selected, once we have gotten all of our light fixtures in there, we can create a little mood board featuring the lighting fixture references. So we do this by just using tools that we've already talked about so far. So like, our rectangle shape tools, text, and then I will also show you how to import images here. Now, this is all just done within a separate model space. So we've got, our floor plan that we were just drawing our lighting information on. Our specs and our mood boards are just on a separate model canvas, but we can then dump this view with the floor plan view on the same presentation canvas. So I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. So in order to import our furniture images, all you have to do is just go find your image, probably somewhere on the internet, right? So if I like this light fixture, or maybe I've selected this light fixture for my project, all I have to do is just go ahead and copy that image and go back to my Rayon project. And then I'm just going to literally paste it, and it's going to just come right in, and you can just resize it and go ahead and place it wherever you want to. I've got this nice little spot here ready for it to be placed. Another cool thing that you can do in Rayon is you can actually remove the background. So if you want to be able to kind of like stack items on top of each other, like for a mood board or something, we can go to edit image right here and just say remove background, and it's going to use AI to remove the background. It will also upscale it for you if you'd like, if it comes in at a really low resolution. You can also make some adjustments over here, but once you get it the way you like it, you just hit done. And now you can see it can stack neatly on top of other objects. For right now, I'm just going to place it right here in our little lighting fixture setup over here. You can also use numbers to tag them to their mate in the floor plan. So, if you have lighting type 1 and you want to call it out as number 1 here on your floor plan, you can also add that tag to your lighting symbol and just say like, this is lighting type 1, this is lighting type 2. And then that kind of like helps that communication between floor plan, mood board, legend, and it helps kind of explain everything. You can also see over here that we can refine the legend to show the fixture counts, optional specs such as pricing, delivery times, and Rayon actually has a tables feature that can automate and organize this information super efficiently. We're not going to dive into that on this class, but we do dive deeper into that in another class that's dedicated entirely to FF&E specs. And finally, I know that was a lot of information, but now we get to take all of that and put it onto one presentation page. So let me go ahead and show you how to do that from scratch. So we will add a page over here in our presentation space. So I'm just going to click new page, and then it's going to throw a page over here. We are using an A3 page, so I'm going to make sure that this page is the right size. So over here, we'll just put A3. And once we have the right page size, now we can add our view. So in order to add in our lighting plan first, let's go ahead and go to the plus sign over here, and we'll go to view from floor plan because we want to add in our floor plan view. Now, if it comes in at the right scale, great. If not, you can always change that over here right under scale. Mine did come in at the right scale, so we'll just leave it as is. I'm also going to hold down my command key and just kind of scrunch this in a little bit just to keep it kind of contained here, and then we will tell this what layers we want on and off. So we are just going to make sure that we start turning off things that we do not need. So for instance, like the topography, the garden, I think we probably want to leave furniture on. There's probably some annotations that we don't necessarily need. And I think that's looking pretty nice and clean. So you can obviously see all of our light fixtures. If we had any sort of notes or anything, you'd be able to see those because those would be on our light layer. Now we can also add in that little spec sheet right here to fill the page. So to do that, we'll just hit the new view and then FF&E specs and mood boards. And you can see that that's placed a view on here. Obviously this is not the scale that we want, but if we double click in here and actually just like zoom in, we can get it looking the way we want it. So maybe we want it like about that scale, and then I'll hit done, and we'll do that same, hold down the command just to kind of scrunch this in, because we don't need to see anything else in this view. We just want to see this little spec sheet that we set up. So now we've got that here, and you know, in theory, your numbers of your lights would align with any numbers that you have called out on the floor plan, and then this sheet tells the entire story for the contractor, the electrician, whoever's doing the work. Of course, you probably have your title block in here too. So eventually what your sheet should end up looking like is this sheet that we have here in our drawing template set that we're using. Now, finally, we prepare the drawing set for export by setting our scale and paper size in the page panel and organizing multiple layouts as needed. So our export options are PDF, PNG, DWG, and DXF. For collaboration, we generally generate public sharing links or invite team members as viewers or editors, making real-time feedback and coordination across disciplines more seamless. So in order to share this file, all we need to do is either click our share button over here, where you can just share this with other team members and then make them either an editor or a viewer. Or if you want to have a hard copy, you can go over into your pages over here, and we are just going to hit export, and you can export all of your pages into whichever format you'd like. I typically do PDF. You can adjust the file size, and then you'll just hit export, and then it will export to wherever you want to save it. That's a wrap for class 4 of the Interior Design Playbook. By now you have learned how to create a complete lighting and power plan right inside Rayon. From placing the fixtures and switches to building a legend, adding dimensions, and even setting up our spec sheet. These drawings not only guide contractors on site, but also give your clients confidence that every detail has been thought through. Don't forget, you can download that free editable template linked below to save you time and keep your workflow consistent. And if you'd like extra support, you can book that one-on-one demo for personalized guidance. If you're enjoying this series, please like, subscribe, and comment with your biggest takeaways and any questions that we can answer for you. I'd love to hear how you're applying these tools to your own projects. Up next, I'm so excited, we're going to be creating sections and elevations. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next lesson.